All right.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to a long and overdue episode of Investment Realtors Podcast, Go To Realtors Podcast.
Thank you very much.
We got a little bit of a fun one. We took a couple week hiatus.
Where were we?
We were just getting charged a little bit of R&R, and we had the D&D on, so we're back.
We're back.
Fueled up, ready to go, ready to bore you and put you to sleep.
Just listen to the smoothness of our voice as we talk about real estate here.
So we talk even closer to the microphone.
Closer and quieter.
Okay, so today's going to be a fun, light one, as it usually is. We're just going to kind of run through our day-to-day and kind of what we do when we're doing showings.
What's it mean to be a buyer's agent?
Which it's kind of like, a lot of layers to the onions. There's like the initial getting the clients out, finding them what they like. Then, the buyer visits, or when we're on the selling side, open houses, which is a form of showing. They're all kind of similar, but they're all different.
Yeah.
And they kind of entail a lot of the same steps, some more than others. So we're just going to kind of give you a rundown, what we do, what we see.
So I'll ask you the first one.
Go away.
What are some of the things you like to do to pre-qualify a buyer before you even bring them out?
Before we even so we like to drop everything we're doing. No. So first things first, we usually just make sure that they have a pre-approval. A pre-approval is different from like
a pre-qualification.
Exactly. So the pre-approval is once they have they've put an offer in something, their MLS, if it's a sold conditional. Finance inspection, it goes to their banker, broker, whomever, and then they can kind of satisfy the conditions. So we do the pre-approval first. Then what we like to do is kind of market areas because, like we've mentioned in a lot of our other videos, everything is price driven, not necessarily area driven because you can only live where you can afford.
Yeah.
So we usually set up kind of some parameters. I mean, if we have a budget. Let's say of 700,000, that could get you all different areas, but we like to narrow it down. Like we're not going to jump around from Orangeville to Niagara Falls it has to make sense for the client. So where they're living, their family, their kind of certain circumstances. Then once we've kind of done that, we'll set up some showings. What we like to do is, most houses, you're supposed to take off your shoes. We bring reusable booties for ourselves and our clients.
It's a lifesaver.
It's a nice little touch. Like it's our personal touch that we put on it because then a lot of people come without socks and like sandals and whatever.
Yeah.
You just slip them on. Boom.
Wash them after.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll go with the booties. We'll go bring a flashlight. Sometimes like our like moisture meter, just like little things that, we're not professional inspectors by any means.
No.
But we've mentioned before, we like to mitigate kind of the risks and kind of any unforeseen issues.
Yep.
So if we're going at nighttime, flashlights on, looking around, especially in a dark, dingy basement. That's kind of just on the pre-buyer visits. On an open house, it's a bit different. We would obviously give just like disposable booties. We have like a little sign in. When you're doing an open house for your seller, the whole basis behind that is you want to make sure that their house is protected. Nothing's getting stolen, nothing's getting kind of touched, or
you're there to make sure you're basically just holding their hands, walking them through, making sure that any questions they have, you're there to answer.
Exactly. So, I mean, those are kind of the first few steps. Did I miss any from what we usually do on our buyer visits out?
On the pre-qualify, that's it. Like we kind of just want to know where they're going, why they're going, and kind of the area, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a good pre-buyer qualification for them.
Yeah, and then generally, I mean, if it's an area we're very unfamiliar with, we have a great kind of strategic alliance with many agents kind of throughout, northeast, west, southwest of the GTA. So if it's something out of our realm, we just refer it out to like a good coworker that we've worked with that, we know is going to give them the same level of service that we would. And then also when we're kind of determining, depending on what kind of the client's personality is, what the needs are, that's kind of how we base it on the agent we would give it to.
Yeah. Past a certain distance, we like to go an hour northeast, south, and west.
Yeah, that's generally what we say.
Anything more than an hour, a lot of the times they're either on a different board or it's in an area where we're not familiar with.
It's very specific, Mark.
It's very specific. So at that point, there does come a distance where a lot of agents, they like to go everywhere because they don't want to give up on a client,
which
right?
is kind of doing them a little bit of a they're kind of being a little selfish.
It is. It's a disservice. Past a certain distance, sometimes it's better to get a local agent that you have a referral with, an alliance with, and refer it out. Because at the end of the day, we're only working for the buyer. It shouldn't be about us. It should be about getting the buyer the best thing. So
exactly.
I mean, if you got to refer it out, we always say
it is what it is.
It might feel bad at first, but you know what? We have different agents that we've sent out and got back clients from them. So it's kind of like a give and take.
Today me, tomorrow you.
Yeah.
So I mean, and to what Lewis said, a lot of the markets can be specific market niches where like only local agents would know certain things, like about maybe kind of how their sanitary is working, where we wouldn't know as the outside agent. So that's just kind of like the layer to what we want to make sure we're protecting our client the best that we can.
Yep.
I mean, on the buyer side, it's very different from the selling side. It's, they're different forms of work, but it's more hands-on and kind of more you're building the rapport and the trust and getting to talk to them and you're seeing them a lot. Whereas the seller, it's the same thing, but it's a bit different. You have people coming to you as opposed to you're going all over and kind of pleading your buyer's case. So, I mean, when people ask us what do we prefer, they're both good. They both have their pros and cons.
Yeah, there's pros and cons. I'd rather be out. I don't mind being a buyer, just being out and about and actually like going out, looking and learning and teaching and stuff like that. So
usually what we've learned in the past, the clients that say, oh, I'm going to be your easiest client that you're ever going to have are usually not. That's something that's usually a little funny. But no, it's been great. I mean, and there are some times where, it gets to the point where like us as realtors actually have to fire our clients, where we know that it's not even just a time wasting. It's just we know that we can't help them, that either they're too fickle, they're too set in a certain way. Like at the end of the day, you're hiring us for a service to provide you with knowledge. So I mean, if you think not even you think you know more, but if you don't want to take our guidance, I mean, there's nothing for us to really do.
Well, it has to be a fit. Sometimes, as much as we want to work with everybody,
of course,
not everybody's a good fit.
No,
so
it goes both
ways. Whether
ways.
it's us or them, like not every relationship is going to work out, and you know what? That's okay.
No,
there's never any hard feelings towards that.
No.
If you find yourself not being able to work with an agent, by all means, have the talk with them and say, look, I just don't think our personalities match and we would like to see somebody else. And 90% of agents would be like, yeah, no worries.
It's funny. Exactly.
Well, I was going to say, other than the ones that lock you in on a long contract. So word of advice, there's something called the BRA in Ontario.
What does that stand for?
Buyer Representation Agreement.
Yes.
There's dates on there. Be very cautious of the dates they sign you up for, and be very cautious of the geographic location they write down in the box, because sometimes some agents, they might not be as upfront as others and tell you what's going on. So just make sure you look at those dates in the future.
And we've had clients that have, given us full disclosure, said, hey, I was working with another agent, didn't work out.
Yep.
And in order for us to best serve them and protect them, we got them to just tell us what they've signed. And we were able to explain to them that when you have that buyer rep signed, if they were then to purchase with us without that knowledge, they're now on the hook to pay that other agent. So, and it starts a whole lengthy litigation of suing back and forth.
You go to like the courts if you really wanted to, if it was pushed that far. So just stay away from it. Be mindful of what you're signing. Always read everything over. Always ask for clarification.
Absolutely. It never hurts.
Never hurts. I mean, we take like a good half an hour every time explaining the same stuff every time, but it's not for us. It's for them.
Yeah.
So
we want to just make sure it's full transparency. You know what you're signing. You know what you're getting into. And I mean, it's worked. I mean, that's not to say we haven't made mistakes along the way, but
of course.
I think the difference is we own up to it. Nobody's perfect.
No.
And if you have an agent that says they've never made any mistakes, they're lying to you.
Yeah, it's a liar.
And you can give us a call. So on that note, we'll leave you guys with just those little bit of tips.
Yeah. I mean, the only other question I would say is, so in terms of, that was pre-qualified. So on the showings, a lot of agents like to hover. We kind of stay away from the hovering. What are some of the things you look for or want to inform on a showing as a buyer agent?
So what we like to do is, we don't leave them pretty much, we're at the front door and they run the whole house, but we give them kind of a moment to digest, kind of walk, like let's say the main floor, we stay with them. Then once they've kind of taken it all in, talks among each other. Then we're there to answer any questions, provide them any insight,
point out flaws. We
point
like
out
to
flaws.
point out
Yeah,
flaws.
yeah.
We're not there to sell a house. We're there to sell them a house.
Exactly. So we've actually, a lot of our clients have laughed and been like, well, are you trying to sell this house or not? And no, we're not. We're trying to tell you what we know so you can make the educated decision because, again, there's so much to take in that, you can get caught up with the beautiful staging and the great chandelier. And it's like, well, what about that crack on the foundation in the basement
Exactly.
that's leaking water?
That's our job. Our job is we actually, like you said, we get made fun of saying like, wow, like nobody tears down a house more than you guys do. And it's like, well,
sometimes to our fault, I guess.
Well, I mean,
that's how you do it.
It's better to know before you buy it and then come back to us and say, hey, how did you not see this? It's a crack. It's a foundation. It's a leak. Just say it. Call it out at first because there's always going to be another house to see. And it's not a big deal booking another showing somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
our philosophy that we tell everybody is if we wouldn't buy it, we wouldn't let you buy it.
Exactly.
So that's kind of just our motto that we live by. And
and that's it.
Was there any other questions I missed?
I think that's it.
I got a little hasty there.
It's just the pre and the post and the jury. And that's it.
Okay. So Investment Realtors Podcast, Go To Realtors Podcast. We'll be back with our regular programming, weekly videos.
Yep.
Another I Spy. I'm sure it's not that hard to miss this
Something's
week.
Missing again.
Well, that's what happens when we don't come prepared.
Yep. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment, especially comments.
Yeah.
We've been having a lot of good comments lately.
They've been great.
All just direct emails, but I mean, put them in the video. It's easier to get to, easier to see, and you might not get lost in the shuffle. So
yeah, and go back and watch our other videos. We might have touched on something you really want to know about, or